Alright, in this tutorial we're going to continue on with JCE. We're going to look at lines 3 and 4 of the cool buttons that JCE gives us. Alright, continuing on then. Left to right, right to left. Insert smileys and emotions. Yuck. Please don't do that in your web pages. I suppose if you really need to, you can. Click the button and it gives you options for those. This is a great button. This allows me to edit my article in full screen mode just to make sure I'm not distracted by anything. Click it again and it takes me back to the normal one. I can do a preview, but preview really doesn't help. It doesn't take into account your CSS, your layout, but it does show you what the article might look like. Inserting a table does exactly what it sounds like. It allows you to insert tables. Now again, you can't think of this like Microsoft Word. You can't rearrange just by clicking and dragging. You can't drag text into table cells. This is very, very limited, but it gets the job done. I can define columns, rows, padding and spacing. I can have a border. I can align it center, left, or right. I can have a width of whatever I want, so 120 pixels. I can give it a class if I've defined any classes for my tables, and click Insert. And so I now have a 120 pixel, 5 cell padding bordered table that I can now enter text into. Now, unlike Word, you can't just tab over to the next field. You have to type things in, then click. Unfortunately, that is one of the limitations. Now with JCE, I have some ability to resize these things, but you'll notice that my text is now a mess. That's because the table is at the top and it's not filling up the entire page, so it's going to be a problem. If you want to make sure that your text doesn't wrap around this table, the most simple thing to do is just type div style equals clear :both /div. Now this text makes sure that there is a break between your table and whatever comes below it. So now when I click Show Hide, that break forces the text down to the next level, to the next line. Now the great thing here is that JCE does give you a few options where you can insert a new table, delete the table, change the properties of the row. You can insert a row above or below, insert columns. You can delete columns. You can highlight two and merge them. So it does give you some basic help with tables. What I'd encourage you to do is to set up your table first and then type in your text. It gets pretty difficult and pretty messy later on. I'd also encourage you to get your text and your article set up and then get your tables in, because tables tend to be a little difficult. You can print your article. You can insert a horizontal ruler just by clicking that button there. Subscript, superscript, pretty simple. If you have invisible elements in your code, you can see those if you just toggle that. And then you can also insert characters, and it will insert those for you. Really, really helpful for copyrights and things like that. Well, let's continue down, row 4. We can actually edit a CSS style here and put in a new CSS style. I don't use this very much simply because I like to have my CSS defined in my template, but if I need something special, I can define that here. I can insert a non-breaking space. I can turn my visual characters on and off. You'll notice it just adds a little dot, kind of like Microsoft Word would. Alright, so I've cleared the screen for the last few icons just so we have a clean screen to work with. Inserting an image in JCE is so much nicer than the tiny MCE that comes with Joomla. You can see the difference already. In tiny MCE, I would have to know where the image is already stored and or upload it using Media Manager. With JCE, I'm able to do this all in one box. So this is my images/stories folder. You'll see that I've already got my park photos here. And let's just say I wanted to put park1.jpg in there. This is from a later tutorial, but we'll use it as an example now. All I have to do is click on it. It fills in the URL for me. It fills in some alternate text, and let me encourage you to always add alt text to your images. That's what Google sees. So park picture, so picture of the park in Rodville. I can edit the dimensions here. So let's just say I wanted to make that 200. Hit tab and it automatically makes it proportional. Now the key thing here is this hasn't changed the size or the file size of my actual image. It's just showing how big I want the image to be in my article. The problem with this, of course, is if you upload a 2000 pixel image and say I want the dimensions to be 200, that's all good and well, but it's still loading the 2000 pixel image. Your best bet is to always get it as close as you can in Photoshop or some other imaging software before you try and upload it here. I want it to be left justified. I want a margin of 10 pixels all the way around it, and I want a border that's black. One pixel. And I can even make it anything here, grooved, inset, outset. Let's just leave it as solid for now. Click Insert, and now I have a picture with a 1 pixel black border, 10 pixel padding all the way around it, and it's aligned to the left. So if I add text here, you'll see that it's wrapped around to the left very nicely. If I want to update or change that image, I just click on the image, click again on the icon, and let's say I don't want all that padding on the left, I just want it on the right. So I can just click 0 there, and I really don't like the border. Click Update, and you'll see that that has now all changed. Really simple to add images this way. Again, if I click on that and click Update, I can define a rollover, and I have an Advanced tab that allows me to put specific styling to all of the images individually based on my CSS. Click Update, and if I click Save, come back over to the home page, and when I hover over it, it replaces it with the other image that I had set. So really, really cool, really powerful, built in to JCE. If I want to add a link to another article, again, JCE does a great job here where TinyMCE was pretty much a mess. If I click on that Add a Link button, it comes up where I can either put an external URL or I can go to any content item that's already on my site. It fills in the URL for me, and if I'm using some kind of search engine friendly URL system like SH404, SH404 translates this for me later into human friendly URLs, but the core Joomla URL is put in here for me. I don't need to touch that. If it's an external link, I always suggest you open it in a new window. If it's not, just leave it not set and click OK or Insert. And now I have a link in my article to another article on my site. It's that simple. If I want to do a spell check, I just click on the little spell check, and of course it's going to find a lot of spell checking with my lorem ipsum text in here. If I have multiple languages, I can choose which language to do the spell check for. If I click on a word, it gives me suggestions. Not as sophisticated again as Microsoft Word, but still pretty cool. I can turn that off again. I showed you this earlier, but this is a fantastic advanced code editor. It color coordinates all of my tags for me, and it helps me troubleshoot anything if I need it to. Basically the same as the Show Hide button, only, of course, line numbers, highlighting, font sizing, and just a little bit better formatting. In Joomla, there are two ways to insert or read more. JCE adds a button here for us, where I could just click there, or of course, I do have my button down here at the bottom. I can also edit page breaks. New page. Click Insert, and now I have a page break here to add multiple pages to a long article. Again, I really recommend that you do that. This would be page 2. Let me just show you these two that I added later on, and these are the paid ones. When I click Upload, you'll notice that there's a brand new area here, Resize, Rotate, and Thumbnail. When I add an image to this upload dialog, I can tell it to resize to any width and height I want with any quality. Now again, you need to keep in mind the upload restrictions for Joomla. The file can't be 30 megabytes here and 3000 pixels wide. It needs to be basically the right size, but you can resize it a little bit here, and you can add a thumbnail. When you do this, there'll be a thumbnail directory that you can then click on, grab the thumbnail instead, and when you click on it, you can set up a pop-up or a rollover or something like that. Let's go ahead and click on Key, and this is already pretty familiar to you. I can add all the parameters I want to my image. But Image Manager Extended gives me the ability to create pop-ups using JCE utility, rollovers, tooltips, and some other attributes like classes and IDs and things. But if I want a tooltip here, I just say, this is my tooltip. Insert that, and now you'll notice that I have a little tooltip. This is my tooltip, please don't steal my keys. And that would be visible when you hover over the image on the front end with your mouse. So pretty powerful. The last one I want to show you then is the Insert File Link. One of the nice features about Insert File Link is the ability to have icons, text, size, date, and all of these parameters right in the link. So for instance, if I want to have a link to this PDF file that I've already uploaded, 605 kilobytes, I can make an icon and text, and here I can change this text to say, please download this PDF. I'm not going to show the size and I'm not going to show the date, but I could. Click Insert, and now I have this great little link with a PDF icon and that text right in my article. Click Save. Let's go back over to the front page, take a look, and you'll see now, please download this PDF. So those are the buttons in JCE.